Welcome to the Real Estate Life Podcast. This podcast, we create a life through passive income and doing things that we love along the way. And today is a special interview because today we've been walking a property in Ohio, and it's all been behind the scene walkthroughs. And I wanted the listeners and the viewers to see what happens behind the scene in a multifamily complex of this size. We're in 146 units, a new bridge, Columbus, Ohio. We bought this asset about 9 months ago, and it's very interesting to see how it's coming around. And we owe a lot of that to our property management. And today with me, I have Zipporah Hodge. She is the regional director for Sundance Property Management. And I have Doron RIce. He's my partner in the deal. He's going to be co-hosting with me, and we're just going to have a conversation and talk about the challenges and what we see as owners and what she sees as a manager. Zipporah, take it away. Tell a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Zipporah Hodge, and thank you for having me. I have been in property management for about 9 years now. I got into the business. I was actually working with the Department of Job and Family Services for a long time, and I worked in their PRC division where I had connections with all of the property management companies in the city. So I kind of figured I could do that. And so that's how I got into it. And it's been an experience. It's been a great experience. We provide a very essential service for people. We came to realize that during the pandemic, housing is an essential service to keep people safe and to keep them secure from what's going on outside the elements. So I absolutely love what I do. I am
That's
thankful
awesome
to say that I can love it.
No, and we could tell. I could tell in your work, but I want the listeners to know. So how many properties do you oversee as a regional?
As a regional, I oversee 16 properties, combined about 1,500 units.
So that's 1,500 units, folks. That is this is someone that has a lot of experience, has seen it all, and one of the challenges that we had in this property was this was a true value add. So when we picked up this property, we had some challenges, and the property had a lot of vacancy. I would say that the owners just had created a lot of equity for themselves, and we're at the point where they wanted to exit. So we saw a great opportunity to buy this asset, at $41,000 a door. And when I say $41,000 a door in the business, that is a really good price for the area. But we also had to do a heavy lift and a lot of remodeling in this property. And Zipporah, kind of give me your feedback when you walked into this property. What were the first things that you knew that we needed to address?
Initially, I'm walking in, you can see the value in the property, a property of this size, in the location, accessible to freeways like that. It's a great asset. Aesthetically, I know you guys had a challenge when it came to some things that had to be addressed as far as just pavement and fencing, things like that we're undertaking now. But when you look in a city like Columbus, aesthetics is big. And so a lot of the undertaking that you all have taken on has been the aesthetics of the property, both inside and out, that has been huge and key. And the lease up that's going on here, people are drawn to what looks good and what feels good. So,
yeah.
So Zipporah, we all know what property manager is.
Yes.
We know that they're pretty much the eyes and the ears of the owner and
Yes.
managing the property for the owner with their experience.
Right.
Okay, and doing the right way. When do you as a property manager know that, okay, I need to talk to the owner about something? When do you think, okay, I can handle that alone, the owner
Right.
doesn't need to get involved?
Right.
And what do you filter and what not, just from a professional stand?
Right.
Because there's a fine line between not having the owner involved and keeping
Right.
him in the dark to like bugging him too much,
Right.
and making him feel, oh, so I can do it myself. Why do I need the property manager for that? So
Right.
why don't you talk about that?
When it comes to the daily operations of the property, I really try to handle everything. I call it property level. Resident complaints, vendor issues, we have downed ACs, there's 2 broken windows, things of that nature. I definitely, believe me, the residents call all the time and ask for you guys. I want to speak to the owner. No, we can handle this here. And that's a lot of times what gets things done in the world. I want to talk to the top. I go directly to the top. So a lot of times the property manager, the on-site manager here calls me because the resident doesn't want to speak to them and because they didn't like what they told them. So I handle, and of course, not myself, but the team, as a conglomerate, we handle a lot of the day-to-day complaints from tenants when we have issues with vendors not showing up, or they get here and the quote is twice of what they initially told us, or now we got holes in the roofs, things like that. We handle at the property level. I really try not to bother you guys as it relates to things that I feel like I can attack and can handle before it gets to you guys. My initial line for you all is, I call it fire, flood, and blood. When I have either one of those things, when it's a flood that's taking the property away, or I got blood, or I got a fire, that's what I'm calling you guys. But I really try to take away the process of the day-to-day operations from you all. That's what you hire us for. That's what we're here to do. And it's definitely, it's a task because the emails never stop, the phone calls never stop, the walk-ins never stop, but it's a part of what we do and we're used to it. And property management is a job, the work is never done. You have these relationships with your tenants and, of course, you're not just dealing with the rent aspect of it, you're dealing with other things that are going on in their lives that spill over into the property here. So you're kind of helping them to sort through all of those things. Of course, their housing being the focal point. So I try to, as a regional manager, keep you guys out of the day-to-day as much as I possibly can. And when those big, huge things arise, that's when you get the emails from me.
So a question for you. Do you, as a property manager, some owners can be not checked out, but like leave you alone,
yes.
do whatever you want. We don't want to hear about it. We just want our
yes.
income whenever it's ready.
Right.
Some owners are too involved or very involved and won't let you breathe.
Right.
Where for you is like the fine line? When do you feel like I need the owner involved a little bit, or where like please leave me alone? Is there a kind of a fine kind of medium?
There is a median. You definitely want owner involvement. You don't want to ever feel as if they're so far removed from what's going on property that they don't understand the full dynamic of what is happening on their property on a daily basis. So that's where our weekly calls and things like that come in. I don't want an owner to ever feel as if they have to be directly involved with the operational side of things. I think that through training and just through one-on-one guidance, I try to make sure that all my staff are prepared for whatever walks through that door on a daily basis. But when it comes to major things, I definitely want to keep you guys in a loop, especially when it comes to budget and anything that's going to throw us off of what it is that we budgeted for, or there's a major issue and a major breakdown, and I know that you guys are not expecting that. That is when I am key to send an email to start the chain going, because you guys definitely need to know about that. And you guys actually have the right mix. I see, I have a lot of different owners, and you guys do very well at communicating when we send something. You guys are right on it and sending it back, and we definitely appreciate that. But I think it's good to have that mixture where there is a mix of you guys want to kind of know the resident issues, but you let us handle it. And you guys are all hands on deck when it comes to the financial portion of it. So.
Right, and I'm sure that when a property is not stable,
right,
and it still needs a heavy lift, let's call it.
Yes.
Especially then the owners are very involved.
Very involved,
and sometimes too involved. But when this property is stable, I'm sure you're hearing.
Yeah, you hear less.
Much less than it, right?
Yes, and in my experience, when we've taken on an acquisition of this size and of this magnitude, with everything that has to go on, in my experience, it's been between a year and a half before you see the property start to stabilize, and I can really look at this budget and operate from this budget, and we're not looking at all of the capital expenses that you look at when you're taking on an asset of this size with this magnitude and the amount of work that we all knew we're taking on going into this. So about a year and a half, when it stabilizes, I'm sure our weekly calls will go down to probably every other week or monthly or whatever, but it's definitely initially, there's a lot of hands-on, there's a lot of contact, there's a lot of emails, there's a lot of moving parts to get the property where it needs to be.
Yeah. One of the things that that I've learned throughout my career in multifamilies. And I always advise every new investor that's coming into the business is to maybe do some self-managing themselves. So they could kind of understand and get a grasp of the business and what the day-to-day looks like as a management. We are in different times right now, and a lot of things we're seeing things in the management business and the apartment business that we've never seen before. And something that we talked about when we were walking the property, that what is one of the challenges and how are we finding a solution to hiring the right team and hiring the right maintenance team in-house. Tell me a little bit how you're going about this and what are the challenges that you're seeing.
Things were worlds different prior to COVID. COVID has changed the way that we work, the way we collect rent, the way that you hire. I do Zoom interviews now, all of that. Yeah. But prior to COVID, the world was a lot different, especially in property management. As we're post-pandemic, coming out of the pandemic, the challenge for me in particular, especially when it comes to hiring out, and I'll just call it maintenance staff, has been what's going on in the world. COVID, you have a lot of, in this city, cranes in the sky. So, of course, you have maintenance techs that would prefer to go work on a construction site versus working in a multifamily situation. So it's very difficult to maintain maintenance right now, industry-wide across the board. Everyone has the same resolve as it relates to maintenance. It's just difficult, next to sometimes you feel impossible to find maintenance. So when you try to find that person and when you target, you get a resume, what I'm looking for is experience in multifamily. Construction experience is great, new build is great, but I'm looking for, in particular, multifamily is a different level of maintenance, it's a different level of property management, and you're looking for those people that have the experience, or not even sometimes the experience, but have the willingness to learn, because multifamily management just presents a whole different set of challenges than what you would see in the commercial aspect, where it's just a boiler that went out. Here you got 9 ACs today that went down. Does somebody have the patience to be able to circumvent all that? And we got a leaking water heater over here, and we got somebody's garbage disposal that's not out. So you have to have somebody that has the patience and has the fortitude, and not only that, but has the capability to do this type of work. And then when it comes to the management team inside of the office, you got to find a people person. You can teach someone to property manage, but you can't teach them to deal with people. And you have to know how to deal with people effectively, be fair, be firm, and be very assertive, but also care about the people that you're servicing every day. So when you can find that good mesh, and here we have a wonderful team inside of the office, and we've done well with, of course, trying to filter those resumes to get the right maintenance on site. It's definitely a challenge, but when you mesh those two together, if you can get a good property management and maintenance team together, you have a perfect world in this business.
Sure.
Right. I always, from the owner's side, I think property managers are really, it's one of the professions that not everyone can do that.
No.
So someone that's looking from inside, it's almost like a job that all you hear is complaints. No one comes to you and say, "Hey, the hot water is on."
It's a very thankless job. It's a very thankless job.
That doesn't work. Or,
yes.
That's not good. That's not good.
Right.
So you have to be a special person, and I think you have to have kind of a strong spine.
You do. You have to have thick skin in this job, because everything that's on site and everything in their lives is your fault. And so, and so you have to have thick skin. And even through the complaints, I hope that you have a great day. And we're right on it. I got somebody coming over there. And you have to find that little silver lining through whatever scenario that they presented to you to get back to them. I hope you have a great day, and we'll be right over to take care of that for you. It takes a lot sometimes when someone has been so mean to you from the onset of the conversation, but again, we're in customer service. It's a customer service position, and you have to realize that when you're dealing with people that, if my hot water was out, I'd be having a bad day too. So, you want to put yourself in their position, or the neighbor was noisy last night, I didn't get sleep. And so all of that has presented their attitude today. So you have to take all of that into consideration. Just let them talk, let them get it out.
Did in your entire career, did anyone come back to thank you or do something?
I've worked in LIHTC for a great portion, which is lower income housing tax credit. And when you deal with people that have very limited income and very limited resources, and they know that no one else, there's no other place in the city for them to go, and you're able to house that person, you do get those thank yous. Now, in a week or two, when their hot water is out, now you're, but initially you will get that thank you.
So we've been asking you all these questions about about you and how you manage and what advice would you give me and Doron on how we should communicate with management, or if we foresee any problems, what advice do you give us as the owner? Anything that you want to add on, or to any other listeners out there that are buying large apartments or even small apartments,
right.
When they're going about trying to pick a management company, what advice would you give them?
I think as far as choosing a management company, I'll start with that, is looking at the diversity of the management company's portfolio. Do they only manage Class A properties or Class B properties? You really want to see, do they know how to handle the adversities of an inner city project, and do they know how to rebrand a property? When you're taking over a property of this size, rebranding is huge, and changing the community's concept and the residents, the former residents that are here with you now, their thought process of the property. So that's huge, is looking at the company to see their diversity in their portfolio. But as far as you all are concerned, I often wonder, what were they thinking when they bought that? Or, how is that? But honestly, I, often, wonder sometimes, in those meetings, because sometimes our meetings can be very quick, and then other days they're very, very, very lengthy. But I know that you all always come with good information, and it's for a reason what you're asking us. But as it relates to the relationship between the two, I oftentimes have wondered how you choose those properties, or is it just based on what's available in the area? Because from our aspect and our perspective of things, we're looking at it as, that's a rough area of town. But I know you're looking at it as, no, this is a gold mine, it's an opportunity, and we can turn this thing around. But we're kind of like, no, you should have went across town and done that. So
yeah, so I'll answer that. It's all in the purchase price. But we also look at other things at trendy markets.
Right.
We like to see, where the last couple of years that market's been trending. When we looked at this asset, we knew that it was rough, but we also saw the architectural design.
Yes.
We also saw the creek that went through this property. You couldn't see that creek when we bought this property.
I saw the
It was so
pictures,
overgrown.
yes.
But and also this is a nice, beautiful townhouse community.
Yes.
There was a lot of potential in that, but we also knew there was going to be a challenge. And I agree with you when you said that you need to look at the portfolio of a management company, especially when you're in the business that we are in, where it's a value add business, where you really have to have a vision of what something is going to look like.
Right.
And we wanted to align ourselves with that type of property management, but also with a property management that had the infrastructure to help us out with the construction.
Right.
Because sometimes you need that overflow.
You do.
And that's something that you guys are doing for us, helping us out even, with putting units out as fast as possible. And we're doing a great job as a team. We're working all together, and we're hitting the numbers that we needed to hit. And thank you for that advice. Now I know that when I want looking at a property, to give you a call.
Yeah, I see your emails sometimes. I'm like, where did that question come from? But of course, we're on two very opposite sides, but we're working towards the same goal. So when when we speak in person, it's definitely I see where it all comes together. So
it's also good advice, if you can, and if you have a relationship like we have with your company, with Sundance, to maybe take them to tour a property with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
They always see things that you as owner didn't think about, because as we said, we all dealing with real estate. They're looking at it from here, we're looking at it from here.
Right.
And if you're going together, each one is looking for, they're more looking at the operation, you're looking for value add, and for maybe for financial aspect.
Yes.
We did take Sundance with us. You remember we
Yeah.
worked the
Yeah.
project with him. And I think
So yeah, to touch base on what Doron just said right now, something that we've done with Sundance and our Atlanta properties, and what we've done is we've done walkthrough inspections. So before we go hard on our deposits, I'll reach out to Tony and ask him, Tony, can you put a team together so we could walk 200 properties in one day?
Yeah.
And we actually walked 340 properties in one day with a group of 6 guys. They basically round up all their team in Atlanta, put us all together, checklist, and we walked all the units. We ended up not doing that deal. Because the owners were only showing us in the beginning a few units. When we asked to see most of the units, it was a whole different ball game.
Right.
So it's true. If you could leverage your relationship with your management companies to help you underwrite your deals, it's in fact before you go hard on your deposit, underwrite your deals with your property management company. You're going to get a whole different perspective.
Absolutely.
So that's a great advice.
so from speculation, it can be almost like actuals with their experience.
Absolutely. And I have, incorporated, of course, the team, your maintenance staff, especially, they see things, they have these keen eyes for things that, I would never, working on this side of the operations. But when I have done these deals with other companies in the past, your maintenance staff going on those walks with you is so critical, because they can look and tell you, no, that foundation, or no, this is they can smell the sewage in the unit. Now they've done everything to mask it, or they can tell you that's been patched over and repaired 4 times, and you got a major problem going on up there. Yeah. So your staff, and even as from the office side of things, it's crazy. I'll look at an asset. Oh, you're gonna have to fix those panel boxes. Nope, you gotta take them out.
Yeah,
that's gonna be another $12,000 per building for you. So that unification of both sides of it, you're absolutely right, is very critical in the success of an acquisition, because I know you guys are looking at it from one aspect, but of course we're over here, as you said, and to mesh those two together, sometimes you can come up with this probably won't be good. Right. It's not gonna shake out either way. So.
At what point do you tell owners, this is something that we cannot keep repairing, this needs to get fixed? And I know that's an uncomfortable conversation, because they're all like, no, just fix it. No, come on, you could just fix that. And I know it's something's frustrating. At what point do you say, like, this, we can't fix this anymore, we need to?
Historically, and what I've done and what I've learned to do over the years is kind of look at the age of something. And I'll call you guys sometimes on things, but when I'm looking at the age of an appliance or the age of a major CapEx item that has we've spent $6,000 this year repairing it, at what point do we stop nickel and diming this? What point do we go ahead and say, okay, we can buy a new one for $13,000? At what point do we go ahead and maximize this expense, and we go ahead and I guess that goes over to another point. It's critical to have a good vendor team, because you have some vendors, if they've been out 3 or 4 times to repair it, they're going to go ahead and credit you for what you've already spent in the repair towards the purchase of a new one. So again, that's that relationship portion. Yeah. But with me, I really, before I even come to you guys with major purchases, I kind of pull every work order, every vendor invoice, and see, before I start, this is what we spent thus far. This is what we're budgeted at this year. This is what I forecast. And I typically will try to come with 3 bids before I even ask you to kind of give you a spread of this is what we're looking at here, especially for the larger items. But for smaller items, I always tell my team, you look at the age of it. If it's going to cost you $120 to repair an 8-year-old refrigerator, let's just go ahead and toss it at this point.
No, it's for me as an owner with managers, there's always been a challenge with third party. Like when I hear the word, no, we had to hire a third party. What, we couldn't do that in-house? Right. I cringe because I just know that just costs so much more. But it gets to a point that the communication is so important.
It is.
That the manager and the owner have to have that, no, we can't do that. You need to do that new. Absolutely. And I think sometimes management in my past are refrained, they hold back from that, because they're sometimes they're used to the owner saying no, budget. But at some point you need that firm no, this is just gonna get worse. we need to do this the right way.
Yes.
And then just puts them on the brakes. Okay, all right, let's go down that third party route.
Yeah.
But I understand that is a big problem, and it's always something that needs to be communicated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, some weeks I feel great because we've had no major expenditures or repairs. Then other weeks I feel like I've sent 20 emails because we've got 20 AC units and they all need to be replaced. And so, you have your really good weeks where, great, I don't feel bad, I haven't asked for anything this week. But then other weeks I feel so bad to even send you the email, like, this is what's going on.
Well,
I tried.
The same way you feel bad is the same way we feel bad calling the equity investors. Hey guys, we gotta pump in more money. It's the same conversation.
I know. I feel so bad. I'm like, I don't want to call them with this. When I hear my text notification go up, like, oh no, and I'll see AC. They started off with AC. I'm like, no. Is there anything we can do to repair
Well, just
it?
know that it's a trickle down. We got to make that call too.
Absolutely. I do. But I want to let you know we feel bad about it. I do. I feel so bad about it some days. So yeah.
So Zipporah, thank you for giving us your time and sharing your knowledge, and you dropped a lot of gold nuggets on this interview, and gave us a different perspective of what's going on behind the scene, and kind of schooled us a little bit of what we needed to learn.
Thank you.
And Doron, thank you for your time.
Yes.
And thanks everyone. You can catch me on abobyesteros.com. You'll see some blogs and podcasts, and see you next time.